And we're live. See, you guys are all worried about the rules. Wait, explain to me again, John, what we were going to do.
Rule number one, make sure that
Yeah,
we don't sound like complete babbling idiots.
yeah,
And rule number two is actually do a mic and sound check.
yeah. But we did that. We're all good.
Oh yeah, we're all good. You're you're
Yeah.
you're a pro, Aaron. I mean, we all know this. You're a genius.
You know the secret to making a professional recording?
Mm.
You don't worry about it at all. That's what I learned. You guys knew I had a radio show, right? Back in the terrestrial days.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I had a radio back. Do you guys even remember radio? That dying industry that's going away now.
I still have a real radio in my car, not this satellite shit. I have real radio.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, all my cars are really old, so I got nothing but radio as well. But yeah, I used to have a radio show, and what I learned is that the more you try to script it out, and the more you try and like take notes and like outline it and everything, I knew radio show hosts that would do that. The less natural it sounds.
I agree with you. Like sorry to interrupt you, Ann, but you're a woman, so I can do that. What's most important when you're having these hangouts is that there's chemistry among the guests that you have on. That's far more important than the topic or the script or anything. That's what I found out.
Yeah, I mean, not to do a blatant plug or anything, but the Savage Hippie podcast that I've just started doing with Edwin Oslin and David Cole Stein, that's Savage Hippie. David Cole Stein is even older than we are. I think he's 47. Oh wait, he's like your age, John.
Yes, Ann, he's my age.
You doddering fart. But anyway, we were having the same conversation earlier this week. Edwin is a millennial. He's 30, and he was meticulously trying to set up these show notes, and David was just like, have a drink. We'll just talk.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I remember you had him on, didn't you, John? Like last week or something, you interviewed him.
Edwin, I interviewed, yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell he's like, and I mean, everyone was like that. I mean, gosh, how old was I when I had my radio show? 29, 28? And there was an element of that. And then after a while, you're just like, fuck it. And then what ends up happening is they switched to an all-sports format. So I had a radio show for like 6 months, and I realized, oh, you guys are a bunch of cocksucking assholes. And all you did was make me a public figure, so now everyone can rip on me. And now I'm just so happy to see podcasting kick the ever-living shit out of radio, because just like the publishing houses, just like the record labels, the radio industry, not to mention television, they were all about, well, you must kiss the ring and you should be happy to have it. And now they are getting their asses handed to them by the internet. I mean, I guarantee you, by the time the Beckloff and Edwin and all those kids are our age, radio is going to be gone. It's just going to be podcasts. They might still have some like radios up for say emergency broadcast system, or for the old fogies, but the growth is going to be in podcasting.
Yeah, radios are going to become like vinyl. Like 20 years from now, the hipster kids will like dig up radio equipment and start making a underground radio channel that sounds really shitty, and 20 people will listen to it.
Well, that's called NPR, The Current, isn't it?
Yeah, except no actual human beings would make something that sounds like NPR.
Yeah. That will be the future. No matter what channel you turn to it on the dial, will just be NPR with that annoying voice.
I think NPR is made by just a coven of computers, socialist computers, sitting in a basement somewhere drinking baby blood.
Well, since this is kind of a generationally topic show, and we are going to just be ripping on the millennials here, you guys actually do remember, like, back when we were teenagers or 20-somethings, and you drive across Wisconsin or John, whatever the town or state it was in your case, and I remember all you had, once you got out of the city, all you had was Jesus stations, country stations, and NPR. No matter where you went, you get those, and all three sucked. All three sucked. It was, and my grandma shot the dog from the pickup truck, or Jesus will burn in hell, and then NPR, and
well, you reminded me of something. You reminded me of something. Sorry, Ann, I'm interrupting you again, but like I said, you're a woman. No, Aaron reminded me of something funny. I was driving through southern Oregon near Klamath Falls, and what was interesting about it was I found out that I was fortunate enough that on the radio they had both kinds of music, country and western. It was fascinating.
What? Actually discern between the two?
Wow, we
They
are
did
all
there.
actually laughing at that.
Oh. But you guys had that when you were younger, right? Having to drive, you go some road trip or whatever, and you end up in the middle of Illinois or what? I mean, no?
Oh
Yes?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, all right. I just,
Well, Ann never had it because she doesn't have a driver's license, but I've had it.
well,
but
they don't let women drive, thank God. Next thing you know, they're going to try and get the vote or something.
no one should have the vote. No, but in my area, you could get an oldies station, which was great. You could listen to, like 60s, 50s, and 60s rock and roll, which was great. And sometimes you could get a college station from Stevens Point, which was awesome. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't think I listened to talk radio until I lived in Chicago, and there was sports talk radio that had a lot of sort of washed up comedians on. Not washed up, they were actually really good, but like guys who should have done stand up but went into sports radio instead.
Oh, yeah, no. I was just like, it's either the jazz station or nothing.
Yeah.
I never even I didn't buy a CD until what, about 1992, 93.
Yeah,
So
that was it for me.
but well, anyway, let me introduce you guys in case, because you guys are you did host for me kindly that one time. But let's do this. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves again? Tell everybody about your websites and how great you are, and then we'll go ahead and do the segment here.
Ladies first.
I don't see any ladies here, but I'll go, being the closest approximation. My name is Ann Sterzinger. I've been writing fiction and journalism for longer than most of you have been alive. My website is annsterzinger.com, where you can find my books and some of my attempts to be funny in blog posts. I'm also, like I just said, I'm working on the Savage Hippie podcast with Edwin Oslin and David Kolstein, which is hilarious and new, and get on it while it's new and cool.
I'm John Steele. I have a YouTube channel. Now I actually changed it to all those. It doesn't have all those funky letters and numbers after the channel. It's called John Steele Show. Steele is spelled Steele. So John Steele Show, and I try to interview people who are, alt-right.
Hot and you want to nail.
Well, it was only once I interviewed someone.
Yeah, that's why he had Edwin on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Edwin does it for me. Yeah, that's what it is. I won't get into my long background because it's not really pertinent to this. But I've had a very interesting and varied career.
Especially when you're getting your nose broken.
Oh, that's what I told you about that.
Yeah, you told me that's true.
Well, you were over on what? You grew up in New York, and now you're over in Washington State?
Yep.
Jeez, that's a lengthy. There is a story there.
There's a few, but yeah. But this is an R-rated, not X-rated show.
Well, yeah, no. Well, gosh almighty, after last night, I don't know. God.
Aaron's still recovering.
Actually,
then somehow we wound up in Greek history at the very end.
At the very end, yeah, I tuned in at the last moment, and then there's Matt Forney pontificating about the Spartans versus the Phoenicians or whatever. I'm like, we were just talking about. Never mind. We're not going to mention what we were talking about. We're mature here.
No, I thought it was interesting though that I had to explain the etymology of the word xenophobic to Anne, who was unaware that it actually came from an Athenian called Xenophon.
I still don't. I'm going to look that up because the prefix means other.
Yes, but where do they get the prefix? It's like the word draconian comes also from an actual person. Draconian laws.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't have to go totally G-rated NPR either on this one, guys. We could add a little bit of spice. We could talk about entomology. We could have an entomology hour there.
I'll look it up later. All
right, so actually the origins of this hour, and this is not a repeat hour. This is just I want to get you two Gen Xers, because we have been Beckloff has been kind enough to host us on his show, and this is really just to punch him in the shoulder. We're going to have the Millennials Suck Hour because we're on this show occasionally as humble guests, and we have to deal with these punk kids with their youth and their their knowledge of internet porn that I didn't really know you could have that much knowledge or that many subtopics. And I decided, because I always host my show on Monday and Thursdays or Fridays, depending on when I feel like it. But Monday is the regular and consistent one. And so I figured I'd have you guys on. And we're just going to rip apart millennials because I hate them. I just loathe and hate the millennials.
Well, you know, when I interviewed Ann on my channel, we talked about that, the disdain for millennials. But the interesting thing about the Gen Xers, like us, we're as I called it, we're at the bookends of two horrific generations,
Yeah.
the millennials and the baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're smashed in between the worst two groups of people that ever walked the earth.
Yeah, but I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Gen X isn't exactly some kind of prize. We're no prize. So I mean, us three are awesome, but I don't know if you remember your peers and cohorts. Most of them, if they died, I'd be all right with that.
A lot of mine did pass on, but
Yeah, mine too.
I would say that the Gen Xers did the best with what they had. If you look at all the opportunities millennials had, like you were just saying this in jest last night, Aaron, but you know, you look at all the technology they have available to them, all the opportunities they have available to them. What are they doing with it? Basically, growing vaginas with hypnosis tapes.
They're sticking their hands out. They're doing digital panhandling. They just got their Patreon accounts out, and that's it. I mean, I'm pissed with. Look, it's like the Wild West out here. Like the internet has made it. You don't have to kiss the ring. You don't have to answer anyone. You don't need a boss. You can literally take your skill or trade or art and sell it directly to the person. And these millennials have no clue. I mean, maybe they do because they don't capitalize on this, and so they go work the same sucky jobs they always had, and then now they got to answer to some fucking dipshit boss. But they have no clue about the opportunity and how little work it actually take them to become self-employed or entrepreneurs, become some kind of online media celebrity. And you're right. All the best thing that I've seen them do, or the most common thing I see them do, is I got a Patreon. Hey, donate to my GoFundMe to pay for my college tuition and all that. And it gets my blood pressure up just looking at it.
Well, one of the things that pisses me off, and maybe it's more like envy or jealousy, Ann would have to correct me on which is the right word, but the way these millennial women, all these young girls now, where they just get paid to just have a pair of tits, and you know they're basically, you know, you got all these. There was an ROK article about it, like these sugar daddy sites, where girls are actually paid by old men just for their company. Like, they don't even have to put out.
Right.
Now that is oppression.
I mean, yeah. These poor girls.
Well, do you guys know Chloe Love?
No.
No, she makes her own. She knows Matt Forney. She's kind of in and out. Very interesting gal. Hustler, mover, shaker. And you know what she does for a living?
Is this the financial domination girl?
No, close. Not financial domination, but she does what's it called? Phone sex operator. And not even the sex. She just talks to guys, like almost as a therapist. Like, these guys just want female attention. They just want a female voice. And this girl makes a pretty good living, just simply because she has her clients and all that. And what I love about the internet, and where, again, the millennials, especially the women, have it so easy. Look, if you were a stripper and you were Gen X or older, where'd you go to strip?
Yeah, you had to fucking learn how to work that pole, man.
Yeah, you had to go to a strip club. You had to worry about guys. There were people there. Now, there's this site, this thing, Chatterbait. Have you guys heard of it? It's basically a webcam, or just the concept of webcamming. You don't even have to go to a strip club now. You don't need to cut 50% to the house. You don't need bouncers. You don't need nothing. You're perfectly safe. You don't have to worry about STDs. You go to Chatterbait and you set up an account, and basically you just strip on the internet, and people sign up, and they somehow pay you. I mean, now a percentage goes to the website, but again, going from a brick and mortar model, like a publisher, like a CD or a record manufacturer, even this has been digitized to where you can do this from the comforts of your own home, and these girls are making bank, and there's no dealing with skeezy guys, there's no stalkers, there's no nothing. And so, like John has pointed out several times before, like, don't complain that you can't find money. Do not complain that all you have to do is go on the internet, sell the, you guys are talking about the panties thing as well. Don't complain that when you're getting paid $25 for a pair of panties, or in the case of she did the math. Some people get 60, but don't say you're oppressed or you can't find work when all you have to do is set up an account and flash your tits.
Right. Well, to add a caveat, the hourly with all the time that guys want to spend talking to you and everything else, and the fact that you have to buy the panties, you have to mail the panties, you have to go to the post office, the hourly on the panty deal thing is really for people who have no other marketable skills. Like anyone who has the skills to make like $18 an hour is going to lose out doing that. Like if you can make at least $18 an hour with other skills, panty deal would be a waste of your time. But if you're some dumb fucking, basket weaving major and you can't find a job, you can go on there and, make your $15 an hour mandatory minimum wage without even having to go into an office.
Yeah, but $15 an hour, that's the low end. I mean, and now you could just I'm
just saying it's a good job for people with no skills.
Right. I wish I had this opportunity when I was in college to make inflationarily adjusted $15 an hour and have nothing to work. Like this is not Plan B. This is Plan F. Like if everything else fails, I make $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Doing this online on the internet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's never a fear of being completely unemployed nowadays. I mean, there's always something you can do to monetize yourself.
Right. I mean, you could also become a socialist and just beg people for money.
Well, that's what they do anyway, but I'm saying girls have this added benefit. I was talking to a friend of mine, Jay, and I will be writing about this down the road. I have a book this is like 3 books down the road. But what's the #1 commodity in the world?
Sex?
No, not sex, because guys it's female beauty. That's the #1 thing. And men are they've been willing to pay for it. We've built civilization for it. We've gone to war over it. We've risked our lives for it. And now all you have to do is just simply put it out there on the internet and you can sell it. Men don't have that option. I can't just hey, here's my jock strap. Use jock strap after I went running. Ain't no girl gonna fork over no $60 for my used sweaty jock strap. Hey, pubes included. Nope, not one girl's gonna throw.
There might be some dirty old men though.
What's that?
There might be some dirty old men.
Oh, for Christ's sake, that's the problem. When I first, I'll tell you guys a story. When I first went to college, 18 years old, and I'm kind of younger looking, but I did not have this beard or the facial hair, and I went to this nightclub in Minneapolis called First Avenue, still there. Prince used to own it. And this is still the premier nightclub. Everyone goes there, moshing, and when you actually went to a concert, you could get injured on these millennial putzes that, But so you go, you do your dance, and I just got my ass shot down by every girl over at that club, and I'm kind of down a little, oh man, college ain't turned out the way I thought, this and that. So I say, hey, where's the bus to get back to the U of M? Guy says, okay, it's 4th and Hennepin. So I go to 4th and Hennepin. I'm waiting for the bus. You know what's at 4th and Hennepin?
Strip club.
The gay 90s. That's the biggest gay club you're going to find in between Chicago and L.A. And I got hit on at least by 12 men that one night after getting shot down by at least 24 females. And that was that
kind of had a boost the ego a bit.
Yeah, sure did. Maybe say, yeah, I'm betting for the wrong team. But I wish, now, had I known, yeah, fine, maybe I could have sold it to the gay men. But it's not this, perma welfare check or perma employment job offer you have that most of the girls can rely upon today.
Right, and it wasn't, even if you had been wanting to sell to gay dudes, you wouldn't have had this sort of on-tap market anywhere in the world.
Right.
Yeah, they would have been wanting, the real Aaron ass, not the virtual Aaron ass.
I think they would insist, yes.
And there's no amount of money that would make Aaron grab his ankles for that.
Hopefully Jack Donovan isn't listening to this. Getting Actually, I am. When I fly out to Seattle, John, I'm going to need you to come visit Jack with me. I don't want to go there by myself. That's.
Jack is actually from what I understand, he's a pretty mellow guy.
Well, yeah. Well, he was on Chris's podcast, and people were Jack's. I've emailed and texted before. I'm not worried. We give Jack guff. We probably, for the few times he ever comes onto a show, we give that poor guy so much guff, and he's.
Well, he can. I think he can take it. I understand. I understand. One time he had a 50 caliber round fired at point blank at his chest, and it just bounced right off.
Yeah, no, we'll be calling him sir and being on our best behavior when we go visit him. So, all right, you guys got any articles you brought along, or no? Are we just going to rip them apart based on our knowledge and experience with them?
Well, about millennials, I was just going to touch on the one thing, and I think Aaron is probably not going to be too sympathetic to this because he actually wrote a book on this topic, is the thing of student debt. Because when I was in college, it was relatively cheap, compared to what it is now. Also, because of the financial background I came from, I pretty much went to college for free. I mean, I actually even got a stipend. I also went local. I didn't go away to school. I mean, I did for 1 year, and then I came back because it was too expensive, and I pretty much got paid. Like, after tuition and my books, I still had a couple of bucks left over from government grants.
Right.
And
yeah, but that's you. You paid your way through. Well,
yeah.
You didn't pay, but you got a hand. The general complaint is that what they just go into student loan debt and they don't pay for it. What?
Well, it's the amount of the debt. It's not just that they're in debt. It's I don't know what the exact numbers are on this. You probably know more about it, because I know you had to do a little bit of research for when you wrote your book, Worthless. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm plugging Aaron's book, Worthless, a good book. But the amount of debt, because what has happened is because the government subsidizes higher education to the extent it does, that has artificially inflated the cost of a college degree.
Right.
Because the government will just keep, they raise the tuition, then the government gives them more money. They raise the tuition, the government, gives more,
It's the same way that Obamacare is making healthcare costs go up.
Oh, don't get me started on. I think I talked to you off air about that. Ann.
Yeah.
What happened to my insurance? Because I'm self-employed like you guys, and I had to pay my insurance is over $400 a month after this Obama debacle.
Yeah, right before we went on the air, I was doing my taxes, and I just my head was starting to the actual temperature of my forehead was getting warmer because I was dealing with my Obamacare taxes, and then as I was shelling out, I was thinking, of Hillary Clinton and her promise to, the way she wants to get the millennial vote is to promise that they'll have forgiveness of their student loans.
So then all that is a wealth transfer from the taxpayers to professors and academians.
Exactly. And
that's all that is.
And also generational wealth transfer from our generation, of course. This is our working life. This is when we're making the most money we're ever going to make. And what is our money going to? It's going to Viagra for baby boomers and free college for millennials if Hillary Clinton gets her way. And so my forehead is just getting warmer and warmer and warmer.
Well, this is back to Ann's point. While she has equal disgust for both of the generations at either end of our spectrum, is basically we're getting fucking spit roasted.
Yeah, because we're demographically smaller than either of them, and between the two of them put together, they can basically vote themselves our fucking paychecks.
Yeah, but I don't even give them that much. I'll give the baby boomers that much intelligence because they're old enough and wise enough to say, oh shit, oh crap, we need other people's money, and so they'll secretly vote for Hillary Clinton or whatever else have you. The millennials and Gen X, when we were young, we were dumber than fuck, and the millennials are even dumber than that. I didn't think there'd be a generation dumber than Gen X, but the millennials have proven it, and they are just voting themselves into their own debt because in the end, they'll roll over the national debt. And if it ever comes due, which I doubt it will, they just probably default on it. But they are the ones digging their own hole, voting in Obama, voting in Obamacare. I mean, right there, that's a wealth transfer from young to old. And these dipshit kids are so stupid. They're so dumb. I mean, we could point out that, okay, they're going to go major in English or sociology or whatever else have you. But they literally shoot themselves in their own foot when it comes to their own voting. And that's why, it's the question of the devils or the dupes. The devil is malicious, knows he or she what they're doing, and they're purposely stealing from you, say, the baby boomers. But these millennials are dupes. They're just fucking sheep. Yeah. They are so fucking clueless about everything, that they don't even realize what kind of tools they're being used by the Democratic Party. It's like the black community. I mean, I don't know how much more obvious it could be. Has this ever worked once in the past 60 years? Are you guys going to try Plan B anytime soon? Apparently not. No, we're just going to do the exact same thing over.
Yeah, and you guys, actually, I'm gonna have to check out of this in 30 minutes because I promised Forney he's gonna actually be doing a live stream on the chimp out last night in Milwaukee.
Oh, that, yeah, I just heard about it today.
Yeah, that's my home state. Yours too, Clarey.
What happened to me? What?
No, Milwaukee is in your home state, which is also my home state.
Yeah, and I left Milwaukee because I hate the people. I really don't care what happens there. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that state and Minnesota, like, they deserve it. Those people deserve everything to happen to themselves. There's very few states I actually cheer on. Like Texas, I'd get upset about. South Dakota, North Dakota, I'd get upset about. But these Midwest, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, when you meet these people, you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't care if you vote Republican. You're all a bunch of fucking assholes. And I hope you get stabbed in the eye by someone who hates your guts. And so,
well, you know, I was talking to Jack Donovan about this. Like, I live in Washington State, and if you take out Seattle, Washington State's a beautiful place. You know, if you got rid of all these, you know, SJW, you know, uber liberal types of, you know, gay pride parade fucks, it would be a great place. You know, and the same for Oregon. If you got rid of Portland, great fucking place. It's just that what happens to these states is they get this one city where it's concentrated by these ultra liberal, especially here in Seattle because of all the huge IT industry. It tends to be all these geeks and you know, computer geek types. They're all, you know, millennial types, and they skew the voting for the whole state. You got one city dictating how the rest of Washington will vote.
right. Well, look at Ann over there in Illinois. You take out Chicago, it's a very conservative state. But that's for every state out there. You take every major city, you take it out, it's a conservative country. But population-wise, that's where it is. But I don't know what happened in Milwaukee now. Did some innocent, nice, wonderful church-going young man get shot by the cops?
Yeah, it was actually
in cold blood.
Boy Scout.
What?
It was a Boy Scout. He was helping.
It was a Boy Scout. He was helping his old grandma lady, right?
Yeah,
he was helping across the street, and for no reason whatsoever, a cop car just pulled up and shot him in the head.
Just shot him in the head, right? Okay. Well, was it something like another Dindu, or was this actually a questionable one? Like, did the guy?
No, it wasn't questionable, and I believe that the officer that was involved in the shooting is actually black himself.
Oh, well, that's got to piss off the BLM.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were praying that you know that it was some Irish cop, like a stereotypical Irish cop.
Yeah. And
Richie Cunningham or something.
Yeah.
Apparently, the perpetrator had a gun and was fleeing, but he turned around and aimed his gun at the officer while he was fleeing, and that's.
Well, why would you shoot that guy then? What?
They had Sheriff Clark on. I just was watching this. I just saw a clip of it. Apparently, the guy, he was fleeing. The car was pulled over by the cops. There was 2 men in it. They fled. The police gave chase. One of the guys was caught up with. He was holding a gun. The police officer ordered him to drop the weapon. He did not. Raised it towards the police officer. The police officer fired, struck him twice, once in the chest, once in the arm, and the chest shot was fatal.
All right. Well, see, when these things happen, I always wait. Because they're like terrorist attacks. It's such repeat, rinse. It's Groundhog Day, and so it's nothing new.
Yeah.
And then usually I wait to find out a couple other things that happen. Because we had one up here in Minneapolis where it turned out the guy actually was kind of, I think it was mistaken identity actually. So every once in a while you do have like a illegitimate shooting. You know, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But 9 out of 10, it's like, oh yeah, right off the bat, he didn't do nothing. Oh my gosh, he was building a cold fusion reactor and helping bring world peace. He was a UN emissary over to the UN, and then all of a sudden you find, oh yeah, well he might have had a rap sheet a mile long, and he had a weapon, and yeah. So I just kind of. But there's nothing new here. There's nothing.
Well, I hadn't heard that the cop was black, but there have been black cops involved in other incidents where there's been a riot anyway.
Well, they don't report those. That's not exciting. So,
yeah.
But all right, Ann, what do you got? You got anything on your little anti-millennial raid?
Well, I found an article the other day, and it's actually in the Independent, and it's so short that I could probably read most of it out loud. But
Good, please do.
all right, the headline is Millennials Outraged Over TV Show Portraying Millennials as Outraged.
Shoot, go ahead.
Negative 20-something reporter declared producer's approach so negative. So, a millennial member of a focus group has angrily objected to the contents of a television program because it portrayed millennials as coddled, easily offended, and thin-skinned. The feedback for CBS's new comedy series, The Great Indoors, was recounted by its executive producer, blah, blah, blah. I'm a millennial myself. How are we so coddled? And what about our overly politically correct workplace bothers you? They asked somewhat stroppily at the panel. Like, that question answers itself, you little retard. Stephen Fry was in it. I thought millennials liked him. Okay, so Stephen Fry, who stars in the show as a travel reporter, who becomes the boss of a group of millennials in the digital department of a magazine, I guess this was live at the panel. Stephen Fry jumps in to say that there is an element of coddling in the generation and an element in which you have it tougher than the generation before. Then the millennial reporter says, yeah, no shit, and then said that she wanted the question answered by someone else because she didn't like Fry's answer. Because he sort of wryly, in his Fry sort of way, noted that a previous generation in his family was sent to Auschwitz. So the subtext there is like, yeah, you have it a little bit tougher than the generation before in some ways, like
Yeah.
student loans, but also you have it a little bit easier.
Well, this is, I don't know if you're finished reading, but I don't want to lose my thought, is you guys remember, like, when we were young, the idea of being a victim was shunned upon. Like, no one ever wanted to be thought of as a victim. At least that's how it was when I was young. Like,
Or at least you didn't get sympathy for it.
right,
You got laughed at.
yeah, you got laughed at. You were like, that's the last thing you wanted to be, was a victim. Now, being a victim is like, it's almost like Bizarro World, where that's how you get status.
And
Like,
how you get money.
It's an arms race.
I mean, I heard, I don't know the exact figure, but one year Anita Sarkeesian, the famous Gamergate profiteer, she was doing a speaking event at the end of the year, and up till that, it was 3/4 of the way through the year, and up till that point in the year, her Patreon or whatever had taken in like 20 or 30 grand or something. And she canceled the speaking event because she claimed that someone was making death threats against her. It kind of looks like she was making that up and sending herself the death threats via Twitter through a sock puppet account.
Mm-hmm.
So she cancels the speaking engagement. The last quarter of the year, she got $300,000 or $400,000 because people just paid her money for saying she was a victim.
Well, who sends this? Is this women's groups, or is it just
Yeah,
sucker
it's
beta
dumb.
males? I mean, who is it? White knights?
Dumb fucking feminists, basically. Like, of whatever gender or non-gender or combination of genders. But
So-
yeah, short answer is yes. People are getting points for being victims. They're getting money for being victims.
I was saying more so you see it in college and high school where, now, of course, my theory is laziness explains everything, and the more oppressed you are and the more of a victim you are, the more special treatment you get and the more attention you get. And if you are a lazy, worthless fuck and don't care to work at all or contribute or produce anything in value in life, you're going to find a substitute. Usually people run to religion. So now we got this psycho-religion, especially with these millennial kids, where they got to, and I always, this is the theory I concocted to explain these Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors of gender. We're like, why the fuck is this happening? This makes absolutely no sense. So I had to sit down and figure it out. These people, I mean, and like I said, it's an arms race to see who can become the most oppressed or the most, not marginalized, although that too, but to come up with their very own unique combination of victimhood
Right.
that no one else has, and therefore, since they're this unique freak, and that's what they are. And maybe they don't even really believe in it. Like, oh yeah, I'm pansexual. Sure, whatever. Okay, fine. But I'm pansexual, so no one else can claim that. And then therefore, you have like this substitute worth or value, not because of an accomplishment or any kind of achievement, but because of this unique trait that nobody else happens to have.
Right. And I think for a lot of white kids, especially white males, like everyone just tells them that they're evil by birth, and so they're looking for a loophole. Like, well, I'm a white guy and I'm straight, but I'm really should have been born a woman, so you guys can't fuck with me.
Well, that's why I became a trans black Jew.
That's right.
Even though you claim you don't date the dark meat, as you said yesterday.
I have an affinity for the lighter skins, but yeah, that doesn't change the fact that I'm trans black Jewish.
Wait, doesn't that make you a self-hating trans black Jew?
I may suffer from that ailment as well. That's another check mark on my victim box. Yes.
But then what angers me is that, see, and I only run into these kids online. I don't run into these people in the real world, because if I ever did, they would not get up again. No, I wouldn't shoot them. I'd just be ripping them a new one. I think humans have this sixth sense not to. They can sense who's not going to tolerate bullshit, and then they know someone who's be a sucker and go for it. But online, where it's like they present this as like you're supposed to treat me like I'm an equal, like I'm an adult. You're supposed to treat this as and if not, then you're an ist of choose whatever, various traits and qualities and characteristics I've chose myself to be. But this arrogance and egotism that I'm supposed to treat you like worship and bow down at your feet, or somehow walk around eggshells for you because you claim to have this fucking identity thing. No, that's where it's like, no, get the fuck out of here. You either fucking do a job, you produce something of value in society, you advance society in some way or another, you do your part to contribute to it, or you're just a parasite. No matter how cute and how many ornaments you put up on your pansexual, sapiosexual, oogity boogity, trans bi gender tree, no, you're still just a fucking piece of dead wood, and you're not contributing.
No, I agree, and you've raised an interesting point, Aaron, about I do think in the real world a lot of these people can sense who will put up with that and not put up with it. Because even in Seattle, where I live, which is filled with these types of people, I think they kind of get the vibe from me that I don't tolerate that.
Yeah. I actually worked with a bunch of millennials a couple of years ago when I was employed at an advertising agency as a proofreader, and I wasn't the most popular person there.
You're not the most popular person here, Ann.
I don't think I've ever been the most popular person, even when I'm in a room by myself. But I had the most sort of mind-bending experience working with these kids, because the minute I got hired, we were taken into it was kind of a small company, and we were taken into a room with the CEO. So it was like the new employees all got to sit around with the CEO, and most of them were millennials. Some of them were making lateral moves, but the CEO was a woman, and she stands up in front of this. It must have been 20 people. This group of new hires, most of them millennials, and starts talking about how women in advertising are almost starting to get a foothold, but there's still so much more work to be done, and we really need to pull together as women. And I looked around the room, and out of like about 20 people that had been hired that year, I'm not kidding you, every single one was female.
Right, that's what I was going to ask. Isn't most advertising agencies female to begin with?
Well, the people who do the actual work are usually men. But
duh.
But the people who deal with the customers are usually women, and they had hired all like these useless sort of customer-facing staff who are just pretty much dead weight. So I kind of raised my hand, and I was like, I sort of pointed that out, like, well, I think we're doing pretty good. Like, everyone in here is a woman. And the CEO just gave me this blank look. And just went on to the next thing she was saying.
But that was a Kodak moment right there.
That was like, hey, the emperor has no clothes. And the emperor kept walking.
Just dongle hanging out. I'm just going to keep walking. Nobody said that. Like, you can literally say the emperor has no clothes, and everyone will be like, well, that's okay. I mean, he's anti-clothing sexual. We've got to put up with this.
I think this is what we're witnessing with this millennial generation. And a lot of people say, oh, you just slam it on because fashion. No, we actually hate you guys that much. Except for the Beckloff and Davis Arini and Undertow and Luke. Yeah, well, we can hate Matt. No, I'm kidding.
Matt feeds on the hate.
It just makes him stronger.
Yeah, don't forget Edwin. Edwin can live.
Edwin, yes, yeah, but outside of those that I'm looking at it, and you got to kind of suss out, okay, what's yellow journalism or what's just this insane, zany crap idiots are doing, and it just happens to make it to the front headline pages or the front lines. But then I look at like these surveys, and you actually run into them, and this is the first fully brainwashed generation, I think, that have been so brainwashed in leftist indoctrination and feminism and navel gazing and frankly been lied to just to be capitalized off of. They are completely dysfunctional adults when they graduate from high school. I mean, I would even say they are the effect of being a mentally retarded, but without the excuse of having an actual mental disability. I mean, they're healthy. They had all 26 chromosomes. But they are that dysfunctional, plus they have ego, which means I'd rather hire a kid with Down syndrome because that kid doesn't typically have. No, I'm being deadly serious. Like if there was a task for me to do, and it could be done by someone of a lower IQ, I'd say if you said college graduate with a master's in sociology or go to the charity and go employ somebody with Down syndrome, I really would take the kid with Down syndrome because he's not evil.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just that article that I just read about Stephen Fry sitting there in a focus group, and this girl yelling at him for interrupting her answer. I mean, if you would hope that a member of any other generation, even the baby boomers, would, before opening their mouth to complain offendedly about a show that depicted them as easily offended, like you would think there would be some moment of self-awareness. Like,
yeah, at least Gen Xers would get the irony.
Yeah.
We were all about irony.
Right, we are. Yeah. I'm sorry. We got to be extra ironic here for Chris Beckloff, so we have to be extra ironic for those.
Yeah,
kids.
like if there were a show that was depicting Gen Xers as ironic and sarcastic and losers, we'd be like, yeah, whatever, we're such losers.
That was the 90s. Yep, that's it. That it was.
But Aaron, you said the word ego. I think an even better word for it is entitlement. They have this entitlement.
Oh yeah.
Right, yeah, they've been given everything in the world, but mentally I'm saying as well, I'm not just talking finances, like everything has pretty much been bought and paid for them, but then like mentally, like the interviewer or the press agent that Ann was talking about in the article she was reading, what kind of mental conditioning did you get to say, well, I don't want to talk to Steve Fry because where do you get off on that? What?
No. Like his IQ is literally double yours, honey. Just sit down and shut the fuck up.
Right, but they're like I said before, they're so programmed and so brainwashed, they're unaware. Like here, I got my article here, and the scary truth about millennials and student loan debt. When it comes to student loans, millennials are adopting a disturbing out-of-sight, out-of-mind attitude. New survey research for Citizens Bank shows the recent college graduates either lack information or are choosing to remain willfully ignorant of the details surrounding their educational debt and how they're repaying it. Want proof? 45% of survey respondents didn't know what percentage of their salary went to paying off their loans. 37% were unaware of the interest rate on their loans. A very oblivious 15% were even unaware of how much they owe. And 44% claim not to fully understand the difference between federal and private loans. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was acutely aware of student loans and the interest rates and the debt, so much so that when I had extra money, I would take my student loans and put it in a CD that earned more than what I had to pay on the interest on my student loans.
Oh, yeah.
Because it directly affected your finances. These kids, how do half of you and I even know what's going on?
No, I agree with you. Just the whole concept of debt itself disgusts me. I have zero debt. I paid off the mortgage to I own a condo. I paid off my mortgage in 11 years. Mm-hmm. On a 30-year mortgage. My car, I bought it with cash. I can't stand fucking debt. I pay off my credit card bill, in its entirety every month. There's been a few times like where I needed a new transmission. I couldn't, that had to go, take 2 months. But I can't stand debt. I just, don't have it.
I don't even have a credit card. And people are like, well, don't you want to build up your credit? You need to have a credit card to build up your credit. And I'm like, I'm never going to use credit.
Yeah, that shocks people. They're just like completely clueless. Like when you're like, I mean, I've even thought about that myself, where it's like, well, if I borrowed a ton of money, then declared bankruptcy, I don't need a house anymore. But I mean, evil and manipulation aside, at least you are aware of the concept of debt, Anne, and you therefore avoid it, right?
Right.
These kids are like trophy wives. They don't know the difference between debt or equity spending. As long as the money is being spent and given to them, they'll go and piss it away on shoes and worthless degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'll bitch and whine when they got to pay it back. They're like, what? Huh? How much? Huh?
Well, they honestly believe that college education should be free and everybody should be able to go to college. No, first off, it shouldn't be free. And two, no, everybody should not go to college. Most people are fucking morons.
Yeah.
I think only maybe 10% of the population should even go to college.
But see, this is what I've talked about in a couple of books or articles I've written before, is the college experience. And this is a conscious racket where it's, look, if the students get bailed out, that's money going straight to teachers and professors and academia. And right now we spend about $1 trillion a year on education. So this is bigger than big oil, more than twice of the U.S. oil industry. But what they have been selling these kids, piggybacking off of what was wise wisdom, say 50 years ago, you should go to college, is they make K through 12 such a horrendous and painful experience that when these kids are finally about to get out of high school and they're about to become adults, that there's this nirvana, this heaven, the land of Canaan that they finally get to enter, and that's college. And so they look at it as their birthright and what they're entitled to. Because I know it was kind of like me. Like I was like, I cannot wait to get the hell out of high school. Can't wait to get out of here. And college was supposed to be all things better, where people were smart, and I'd find my people where I belong. And all it was, even back 20 years ago, was high school version 2.0.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, they are doubling down on this, lying to these kids, because they're not going to tell them the truth. They're not going to say, hey, look, you got to work a lot. Your parents are weaklings. They don't have a spine. They're not going to tell them. The student guidance counselors have no incentive to tell these kids. Plus, they don't want to have their ego bruised and say, yeah, me going into student counseling was stupid. I got a stupid degree. I'm making jack shit. So they want to yell at, and a lot of them also want to just keep that money gravy machine going. Like, we don't care if they're kids or not. Let's get, hey, the parents paid K through 12 with their property taxes. Now we can really stick it to the kids, and they're so stupid. They're such sheeple. They're such lemmings. They'll borrow $150,000 and give it to us. And so you have the powers that be, education, government, even parents lying to these kids, telling them, oh yeah, you got to go. You have the media, entertainment, say, oh yeah, you got to go. So that when these kids, they think that college has some value, or it's a goal unto itself. When it's like, no, it's not until you graduate from college is the real score going to be caught or tracked. But then when you tell them that their life dream is pointless and stupid, especially when they major in dumb shit, oh, they're off the right. They're gone. They're gone. You're never going to save them.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, but what are the answers for the millennials? Like, we're not talking about the kids in high school now, but like those who have already gone through this. All right, they're already in debt. They're in their mid to late 20s. What can they do? I mean, or what can we do about this? I mean, because this is going to impact us one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of two things. They're either salvageable or savable, or they're not. I mean, in a parallel or an analogy would be like a 45-year-old feminist. Like, you can go up to her and say, look, you've just pissed away your entire life. You've pissed away all your youth. You have another maybe 40 years of life left. Now, are you going to admit you did it wrong and that you've passed up on a family, a husband, and kids, and a worthless career? You're always panhandling for government grant money. And are you going to go and live life, or maybe going to spend time with your nieces and nephews? Are you going to do something that you want to do, or are you going to still adhere to this religion? And in the case, if we're going to use feminists as proxy, sadly, I think the religion and their ego and their entitlement, or their pride, is so strong, they're going to stick with it. Same thing with the black community. It's like, okay, how many more generations of blacks and Hispanics and minorities are we going to have to go through that live in poverty, have standards of living of about 75% that of white people, before you admit that you guys were wrong and you goofed it up? When are you going to try something different? And so when it comes to the millennials, I think if we use any other human as a proxy, and how much do they subscribe to these religions, I think the conversion rate is going to be very low. I mean, you'll get maybe 5, maybe 10%, the people who really don't want to waste their lives. But the older you get, the more buyer's remorse you're going to have. These millennials now who got all this debt, and they have poor employment prospects, especially if they have a lousy degree. It really is a question of ego versus empiricism. And I think the human mind, and especially the millennial generation, being, frankly, the inferiors that they are, they're going to go with ego and pride, and they're going to double down, and they're going to die. They're just going to waste the rest of their lives, and they're going to live miserable lives.
Well, the one glimmer of hope I see is there is a decline in people subscribing, as Aaron, I think, correctly called it, a religion of feminism. I'm starting to see women actually say this feminism shit is bullshit. Mm-hmm. They're starting to say, you know what, this is a false bill of goods they sold us here. This is not working out. This is not reality. Feminism doesn't work. I mean, Ann was kind of funny. Do you remember, Ann, when we were talking about the women in the military? And
yeah.
That was kind of a hot button for you because you were like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, Ann was scared about, because they literally opened up the military to they opened up females to serve in all branches of the military. I mean, I'm including, like, Delta Force and the Navy SEALs here.
Sure, right.
And Ann was joking about, like, now they're going to expect her to pull a 220-pound guy out of a fucking burning tank. And Ann's like,
she can't even join a hangout, for crying out loud, let alone get a guy out of an M1 Abrams.
Well, I think that's a physical skill versus a mental skill, or a technological skill.
Right, but okay, how many of the women were all like, yeah, we can do this, we could become a ranger, we could become a Green Beret? I mean, what was the general response?
Well, that's the thing is I think women, well, and you speak to that. All right, please, you speak to that.
From what I've heard, the feminists are still going, well, you have to lower the standards now. Like, no pull-ups, no push-ups, just no physical requirements. Just send us out there with a gun that we can't even lift.
God, I'd love to do that. I'd be like, yep, here's your gun. Go out there. Go kick ass. All the women, yeah, you can do it. You're a woman. You go, girl.
Yeah, you go, girl.
You go, girl. The You Go, Girl Brigade. Here's your gun. Nah, you can figure it out. You're smart. You have a master's degree in women's studies. You can...
That's a whole bunch of people whose student loans we won't have to pay off.
Yeah, that would be worth a, here's, you don't even give them ammo in the M16. Just like, here you go.
I don't think they know the difference. I mean, do they have the ability and coordination to actually pull the trigger?
I don't think they have the ability to know to put one in the chamber, prime it, turn the safety off, or switch from burst to full to semi. I don't think they... I
think the capacity for those skills is actually removed in the course of getting a women's studies degree.
Yeah. Well, they would never put themselves in harm's way, because that's actual work and risk.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the women that do join the military and wanna, like, because they actually go through basic training, and then, but the pontificators who sit over in their ivy towers and, well, they should become, but we should lower the standards. And yeah, okay, whatever, miss.
I mean, no, but fine women joining the military, like, and I spoke about this at length. She put some thought into it, apparently. I didn't know she knew as much about it as she did when I interviewed her, was about how the military, needs women, like, in support roles. Like, for example, there's a million things women can do in the military besides being frontline soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Eisenhower was like, we no longer have just a tent with one stack of letters in it for our office. We need thousands of office workers just to run one military base, and we don't want to have able-bodied men doing those roles.
Right. We got to go out and get shot at. You girls go sit. You go look at the radar screen. Tell us where the enemy is. Yeah, go over there. There's some dots over there.
Yeah, but I mean, do we really want? I mean, I don't think people realize, the serious implications for this. If they start lowering the standards of physical standards of Navy SEALs, do you realize how much of a fuck up that could be?
Yeah.
Oh,
have you seen SEAL training?
No. I saw movies about SEAL training, but I haven't
There's
actually
great
seen it.
documentaries on SEAL training. I've actually met SEALs from my gun range. That shit's no joke, man. I mean, not just physical toughness. You got to be a certain type of mental toughness that I think, and I'm not saying this to be like purposely sexist or anything, but it's kind of a male trait to have that kind of mental toughness it takes to go through that.
You mean so a woman writing about the intersectionality between race and feminism, her ability to write that thesis isn't going to really help her in the Navy SEALs?
Probably not, especially during Hell Week.
You do realize it's heterosexist to say woman.
I don't give a flying fuck what any one of those people say, and when anyone ever says that I'm racist or bigoted or homophobic, I say, yep, what are you going to do about it, faggot? And then they're like, thanks. You ever, like, it's been rare, like I said, John and I are talking, really, but, like, people know, they can sense it, but it's happened to me twice where someone has tried to correct me, and I just like, no, fuck you, faggot, what are you going to do? And then they just like, no, what are you going to do? You're going to make me? You know? And then you just say, shady, shady, fag, shady, shady, fag, how do you do? South Park, anybody know that one? No?
It sounds familiar.
Never mind. Just get in their face that it's fun, it feels great, and they'll never do anything because they're liberals and leftists. They'll never throw a punch.
Yeah, well, they've misused and overused terms like racist and sexist to such a degree that they don't mean anything anymore.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean the millennials. That's one good thing the millennials have done is they have so made it that, like in the olden days, if you were called a racist or a sexist, that actually meant something. Like it meant you were a bigot, and because someone had different equipment downstairs or a different pigment in their skin, you didn't like them. Now it's just like, I mean, really, it is kind of like, yeah, sure, okay, they're racist, whatever. And now it'd be like, you know, yeah, I'd hire a racist, I hire a sexist, because chances are they're not racist and they're not sexist. The only reason people would call them that today is because they actually stood for principle or something and hold people to standards that are genuinely not racist or sexist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost kind of like a, yeah, okay, I see you, all right, yeah, you've already, you know, if you're a racist right now, that means I place more value on that today than I would if you had a college degree from a liberal arts college. Because at least you're principled. At least you pissed off somebody who's a dick. And so I'm like, okay, maybe you're on team asshole. All right, maybe I like you.
Well, did you ever see the film Full Metal Jacket?
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's an old. Yeah, well, I figured we're all Gen Xers, so might have seen that. Well, Lee Emery plays the Marine drill
instructor. Yeah.
And actually, in real life, he was a Marine drill instructor. Fought in the Vietnam War. But there's this funny scene in it where he goes, "I want you to know that I don't discriminate against niggers, wops, pikes, mix. Well, you're all equally worthless." And that's kind of how I look. You know, like Aaron, you're the same way, right? You don't
I'm a misanthrope. Yeah, I'm a misanthrope. I hate people. I hate them all. Until you prove to me otherwise, I pretty much don't care if you get hit by a truck.
Yeah, I'm totally different from you guys. I love everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, when I think of Aunt B, I think, oh yeah, Ann Sterzinger. Yep, there she is with her apple pie.
Well, I was thinking, you know, we were talking about monetizing online presence for doing nothing. I really think that whole misanthrope thing, Ann, I think you really should have worked on that, because I think there was some green to be made.
Examiner.
Yeah, I'll just have to put the labor into it, get it going.
Well, are you like kind of focusing more on your books and everything? I mean, that's your bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you got a day job or no?
Yeah, but I don't like to talk about it because I.
Well, no, you don't have to. I'm just wondering if you have a job. That's like during the day, or if like you live off of your royalties being an author.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Okay.
No, she has a job. She just doesn't want to say what it.
No, I don't want anyone to tell me.
I don't want SJWs pestering the people I associate.
No, I completely understand. No, I understand that. I'm just wondering, like, you know, if because otherwise, seriously, I'm working on a project, and hopefully it'll be done in about 3 or 4 days. But this work hard writing economics shit, no, that ends now. I'm capitalizing on women's beauty, and I'm infusing sex with economics, and I'm going to make implement a different strategic plan this year. But seriously, if you can make money on desperate men and on your looks, absolutely go and do it. I'd be capitalizing off of that shit if I could, no matter what, yeah.
So, Ann, that's a hint that maybe investing in the breast implants could pay off in the long run.
I mean, maybe if I did it myself, I could save some money.
How much does a pair of boobs cost? I mean, it seems like it must be a good investment. It's a
I don't
growing
know.
industry.
I'll look it up. How much does a breast implant?
Well, I don't even think Ann has to do that. I mean, it's. I mean, you're not ugly, Ann. You're in shape. All you have to do is like, I don't know, pose on your website, cutesy Q or whatever. I'm not saying doll yourself up in a French maid outfit, but sex sells. I mean, you don't have to be offering sex either to get it. So if you just, you get a bunch. Look, what's his name? Who's that sucker? He's easily duped.
You got to narrow that down, Alan.
No, that guy, like, once he interviews any cute blonde who happens to be conservative. Oh, John Steele, that's the guy. See, look, all it took is one cute little set of tits, and he just gave her a platform, man. He just rolled over on his back and invited her right in. That's.
Yeah, because everybody knows women totally. I'm putty in a woman's hands.
Yes.
That's my rep. Yeah. Women walk all over me.
You'd like to be putty in Blondie's hand. What's her name again?
Well, her real name's Rebecca.
Rebecca. Okay.
Blonde in the Belly of the Beast is her online handle.
You'd be okay if she like came over and bought you coffee or something.
Yeah. Well, if we did something after the coffee. Yeah.
Well, I know. I'm trying to be couth.
Trying to be PG. Yeah. I hear you. No, I mean, to be honest, blonde is not my type. I just kind of thought it was interesting to interview her because she lives in Seattle like myself, and she was the first ultra red pill woman I've ever known about who lived in the same city as I do. And you can't really appreciate that unless you have lived in a city like Seattle, San Francisco, or maybe Portland.
No, I mean, in Minneapolis it was the same thing. I mean, it's rare you'd ever find it. And I don't think I'd find a milquetoast Republican, but nothing like a total red pill hardcore, like, yeah, fuck Obama type shit. I haven't seen that in Minnesota at all.
Yeah, well, and to be honest, the blonde's backstory was similar to mine because she had also worked in New York City as well. So there was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we there was a lot of parallels in there. So I did find her interesting in that regard. Not just trying to bang her, but I'm not trying to bang her. She's involved with someone. She's actually dating a Marine.
Oh, yeah. Then you definitely do not want to bang her. That then you get your ass kicked, and that would hurt.
Oh, I've taken out some Marines on the map.
Yeah, I prefer sociology professor. If I'm gonna nail or go after a girl who's already spoken for, I hope her boyfriend is like a sociology professor or a public school teacher or
Women's studies
lawyer.
professor.
Yeah, not Marine. Marine ranks as like one of the last things I'd want the girl's boyfriend to be. That would be one of the last, probably the last. I can't think of anything more intimidating than a Marine.
A Navy SEAL.
Okay, well, yeah, all right, a Navy SEAL. But once we get into that military professional killer kind of thing, it's just kind of like, yeah, I think I will respect their wedding vows. And
what does your boyfriend do for a living? He kills people.
Yeah, you can buy that drink for yourself.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, thank you for his service, and I'm going to go over here now. That would be. Wouldn't that be something cool? Here's somehow we can. Shit. Well, you can do this, John. I can't because I'm already spoken for. And you can do this too. We should just find millennial boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives and ruin their relationships. Just come in there and ruin their relationships. Like, John, you find a cute little millennial girl who's got her pussy boyfriend who drinks coffee, works as a barista, and he's like, he's a barista, all right? And then you destroy that relationship. And you see the dopey millennial kid who's got his girlfriend over there, and she's getting her master's in philosophy, and then you sniper him right away from her clutches. And then when you both dump them afterwards, so everybody's miserable except us, and then we laugh. Say, ha, ha!
Aaron, what do you think we've been doing?
I don't know.
Do you know
guys
how many
dating anyone?
I've done shit like that.
I did it to like people my own generation, but then 10 years ago I stopped. All right, well, listen, let's wrap this up. I do appreciate you guys. John, why don't you go ahead again, tell everybody your website, where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube. Just go to the YouTube search and search for John Steele Show, and you can find my interviews there.
Cool. Ann, why don't you tell everybody about your books and your website?
All right, AnnSterzinger.com. You can find my hit novel Nusquam, which is Latin for not nowhere.
Spell it. Just spell it.
NVSQV. Jesus Christ.
See?
Oh, fuck
See?
it.
Exactly. That's my whole point right there.
All right, NVSQVAM.
NVSQVAM?
Yeah, that's Latin for nowhere.
Okay, so just search Latin for nowhere, then copy and paste that into Amazon.
Just go to AnnSterzinger.com and
there.
the
Okay.
books.
Buy the fucking. Well, that's not the only one you've written, though, right?
Yeah, I've written a bunch of them.
Well, what are the other ones?
The Talkative Corpse, Girl Detectives, and a translation of In the Sky by Octave Mirbeau. I'm also working on a self-help book called the Traumatized Child's Hot Body Guide, and
It sounds interesting. What's that one?
It's about how to make your insanity make you in shape instead of letting it make you fat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if feminists had any intellectual honesty, that would be a bestseller, but they don't. So.
Yeah. I'm working.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being on, guys. I do appreciate it.
That was fun, buddy.
Yeah, and then just so you guys know, this will be the second segment. I interviewed another guy, so it's going to be first segment, and then I have my sponsors, and then it'll be this one. And then I won't have to podcast tomorrow. It'll be great.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Oh, and I did want to thank you a lot, John, for helping me out with setting up this Google Hangout thing.
No problem, brother.
Yeah, now I feel almost as tech savvy as the Backloff. Okay, you Gen Xers continue being ironic, okay?
All right.
All right, buddy. Peace out.
All right, see you guys.
Good night.